One of the most important element for plants and also for other living organism is nitrogen. So nitrogen is essential for the formation of amino acid which form proteins. So the nitrogen cycle is a model that explains how nitrogen is recycled. So basically nitrogen is everywhere. Okay, in fact nitrogen gas itself, it's a N2, nitrogen gas makes up about 78% of Earth's atmosphere by volume. So far surprising oxygen we often think of as air. Okay, but having nitrogen around and being able to make use of it are two different things. So our body and the bodies of the other plants and animals or other living organisms have no good way to convert nitrogen into a usable form. Majority of higher living organisms just don't have the right enzymes to capture or fix this atmospheric nitrogen. So yet where are they come from? Where are this nitrogen come in our body come from? How they can enter the plant and to our body? So here we will briefly look into nitrogen cycle. Okay, by definition, nitrogen cycle is a biogeochemical process which transforms the inert nitrogen present in the atmosphere to a more usable form for living organisms. So this is the simply the definition of the nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen cycle, okay, is a biogeochemical process, okay, through which nitrogen is converted into many forms consecutive, basically passing from the atmosphere to the soil to organisms and back to the atmosphere. So again, like this diagram, it involves several processes such as nitrogen fixation, nitrification, denitrification, the decay, the amplification, and so on and so forth. So the nitrogen gas exists in both organic and inorganic forms. So organic nitrogen exists in living organisms, and they get passed through the food chain by the consumption of other living organisms. So inorganic forms, okay, inorganic forms of nitrogen are found in abundance in the atmosphere. So atmosphere in nitrogen here. This nitrogen, however, can plants can absorb it. They don't do like absorb carbon dioxide or oxygen, like what to similar to that one. So you cannot absorb the nitrogen gas directly from the atmosphere. So this nitrogen is made available to plants by symbiotic bacteria which can convert the inert nitrogen into usable forms such as the nitrates and also the nitrates. So nitrogen undergoes various types of transformation to maintain a balance in the ecosystems. So furthermore, this process extends to various biomass, with the marine nitrogen cycle being one of the most complicated biogeochemical cycles. By what we don't go into that area, so we just focus in the terrestrial, in the land, in the soil. Okay. So the key process during nitrogen cycles are nitrification, denitrification, ammonification, assimilation, and nitrogen fixation. So I will not discuss in details about these processes because this has already covered in your first year subject in life process. So you can refer back to your textbooks for details explanation. So, however, just to recall, here are nitrification, this is ammonification, So this is nitrogen fixing bacteria. Nitrogen fixation happen here where the bacteria living in the legume root nodules fixing the nitrogen. So see, this is a process of assimilation where the nitrates can be absorbed by the plants. This is one of the forms that can plants absorb nitrogen. This is the nitrification where the ammonium converted into the nitrates. So this denitrification is a process where the nitrates or the converted back to the nitrogen in the atmosphere, or converted into the atmospheric nitrogen by two ways: by using by the denitrifying bacteria. So, and also there is another process where lightning also can convert atmospheric nitrogen into the nitrates. So these are the some of the processes. So again, so basically, nitrogen enters the living world by way of bacteria. So this is the key. I just want to stress this one out. Nitrogen can enters the living world by way of bacteria and other single cell prokaryotes, which converts atmospheric nitrogen into biologically usable forms in a process called nitrogen fixation. So some species of nitrogen fixing bacteria are free living in soil or water, while others are beneficial symbionts that live inside of plants, especially in the roots. So nitrogen fixing microorganisms capture atmospheric nitrogen by converting it to ammonia, which can be taken up by plants and used to make organic molecules. So of course, ammonia in the excessive in excessive amount can be toxic to plant, but this is one of the form that can be absorbed by the plants. So nitrogen doesn't remain forever in the bodies of living organisms. Okay, they not we are not holding the nitrogen forever in our body. Instead, it can be converted from organic nitrogen back into gas again by bacteria, especially during the anaerobic condition. This process often involves several steps in terrestrial land ecosystems. Nitrogenous compounds from dead organisms or waste are converted into ammonia by bacteria, and the ammonia is converted into nitrates and nitrates, okay, which the ionic form that can be assimilated by the plants. So the nitrates can return into gas, okay, again by the denitrifying prokaryotes. So here are some of the importance of the nitrogen cycles. So it can help plants to synthesize chlorophyll from the nitrogen compounds. So this also the nitrogen cycles can help in converting inert nitrogen gas into usable form for the plants through the biochemical process. In the process of ammonification, the bacteria helps in decomposing the animal and plant matter, which indirectly helps to clean up the environment. So nitrates and nitrites are released into the soil, which helps in enriching the soil with necessary nutrients required for cultivation. So nitrogen is an integral component of the cell, and it forms many crucial compounds and important biomolecules. And also, if you look at it again, nitrogen is also cycled by human activities such as in combustion of fuels, and also the nitrogen and the use of nitrogen fertilizers. So these processes increase the levels of nitrogen containing compounds in the atmosphere. So the fertilizers containing nitrogen are washed away in lakes and rivers, and results can be resulted in the eutrophication. So my question to you, why we need to put fertilizers? Why we need to put extra? Because the nitrogen is already in the ecosystem, right? Why we need to put fertilizers to our crops? Okay, since we still have all the microbes in the microbe activities in the soil, So all nitrogen cycles are already take place in the soil ecosystem, but why we need to put extra fertilizer? Okay, that's my question to you. So in general, we also can see that carbon and nitrogen cycles are linked together. Basically, carbon cycles is mostly atmosphere based, while nitrogen cycling is mostly soil based.